Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Thursday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky, Daryl Morey, Sixers GM, says the league, people around the league, I should say, put an asterisk on the 2020 title for the Lakers. Should they? That's next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, no matter how, where you get your podcasts. This one's always going to be free and never behind a paywall. Of course, Andy, Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where over 36,000 subscribers are all hanging out, cursing Daryl Morey and unnamed executives and people around the league who apparently view the Lakers 2020 title in the Disney bubble to be somehow lesser or asterisk worthy. We'll explain what we mean there. We'll tell you where ESPN has the Lakers in the first round of power rankings following the bulk of free agency. But yeah, we'll start with this stuff with the Athletic because, oh my, I mean, it didn't come out of nowhere. I should say it's not just like suddenly people are talking about this again. The Athletic did an oral history kind of 5 years later on the Disney bubble and people moving into it. So
it's clear the piece was not written purely to debate the question of whether or not the bubble title should have an asterisk. Just so people understand, like the overwhelming majority of it, it was written by Joe Varden, who collected the quotes of a lot of people who spent time down there, Howard Beck, Kyle Goon, among others, like reliving what it was like in this super specific, very weird, and often very difficult setting. Like people had fun often during it, and they managed to find ways to enjoy it, but it was a situation where pretty much everybody by the end of it, other than Jimmy Butler, who's a weirdo who decided to start a coffee empire while in the bubble, right, everyone wanted to get the hell out of there.
So as part of that, though, they did discuss, the championship. And in the context of that, Daryl Morey certainly won the day with headline creation.
Daryl Morey often very careful with the way he says things. This is really I feel bad for Daryl Morey because it's really the first time he's ever stepped in anything.
Right. Quote, had the Rockets won the title, keep in mind, by the way, this is me talking, not the actual quote. The Lakers eliminated the Rockets, just side note. But anyway, back to Morey. Had the Rockets won the title,
I believe 4-1 eliminated.
I absolutely would have celebrated it as legitimate, knowing the immense effort and resilience required. Yet, everyone I speak to around the league privately agrees that it doesn't truly hold up as a genuine championship. Perhaps the lasting legacy of the NBA bubble is that the NBA should be proud of its leadership at both the beginning and the end of the pandemic, even though the champion will be forever marked by an asterisk.
Yeah. I do agree with him that the NBA leadership and, Adam Silver down, they should be commended for pulling this off. It was actually a pretty amazing feat when you look back at the chaos of 2020 and the pandemic, not to mention civil unrest happening around not just the country, but frankly around the world, and just the general uncertainty that they managed to stage this playoff run inside this Orlando bubble at Disney World. Like Daryl Morey is correct. That is
without anybody getting COVID. Like logistically, it was a logistical.
Not even the ladies, a few players snuck in. They didn't get COVID either.
Perhaps they had quarantined as well before. And look, this isn't to debate, would it have mattered? Should people play? Like 2020 was a different time. Understanding of COVID was different. And all of these things. To do this in the way that they did and pull it off is monumentally impressive. But that part where he says, everyone.
Many people are saying, Brian, many people are saying it.
Everyone I speak to around the league even though the champion, he said, and even though the champion will be forever marked by an asterisk. Now, our friend Anthony Irwin did catch up with Daryl Morey, who tried, I think, to walk some of this back. He said, I respect the title. I defend it to people all the time. It's the thing I want the most, meaning a title is the thing that I want the most. Morey said he understood that the quote, why it would make people mad. He said, I see why you would have taken that way, taken it like as diminishing the title, and that would have made me mad too. So he tried to walk it back at least some. But what Morey is saying, particularly given that it's the Lakers that won that championship, is not an uncommon sentiment around the league. And it is absurd, if you don't mind my saying.
I mean, it's beyond silly. And Daryl Morey had the opportunity when he gave the original quote to say, I defend it all the time, but nonetheless, this is what people think. And it becomes difficult, I guess.
Like, they think this,
right?
I don't, but
right.
they do.
I mean, my advice to Daryl Morey, as somebody who I guess is a professional talker, it's quite literally how I make my living. If you want to convince people that the championship doesn't have an asterisk, I wouldn't describe it as like forever tainted by an asterisk. That's just how I would go about doing it. But what do I know? I mean, so much of this, honestly, is connected to it being the Lakers, and in particular, it being LeBron with the Lakers, because the Lakers are a team that outside of its fan base, and admittedly, it is a massive fan base, they are one of the most popular teams in the world. But if you ain't with them, you're against them. If you do not like the Lakers, you basically hate them. Like, they are not a team that anybody is indifferent towards. And they're a team that sparks a lot of resentment because they've had a ton of success. And if they're the type of team, for example, that just seems like Luka Doncic falls into their lap. And then a guy like LeBron, who is also admittedly extremely popular by definition. LeBron is a very popular athlete, but he is also a lightning round for debate and polarization. Quite frankly, he props up the industry that we are a part of. And like Kobe Bryant, like any non-big man who ever dares come close to touching the sun, that is Michael Jordan, you're going to have a lot of MJ gatekeepers looking to find the way to detract from anything that they do. And so Michael Jordan can remain the unquestioned number one GOAT of all time. So it's clear he's a perfectly reasonable choice for number one GOAT of all time. I don't care who you think is the GOAT. GOAT debates are boring to me. I'm just saying this is where a lot of this comes from. You put the Lakers and LeBron in this scenario, you're going to have people looking to pick it apart, even though the Lakers had been one of the best teams that entire season. And they were a team that by around March, when the season stopped because of the pandemic, they were considered one of the front runners to win the championship. So there's nothing random about this whatsoever.
52-19 when the world stopped. They won 11 of, I think they had won 11 of 13 at that point. I actually don't remember what the who won that game. The last game they played, I'm pretty sure it was the last game they played. Certainly the last home game they played was against Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. And most of that game I spent saying to myself, why are we here? What are we doing here?
Yep. You and I were both there.
Yeah, I do not remember why or who won the game.
The Nets won, actually.
Okay, yeah, that's why I kind of thought that, but I wasn't sure.
But the Lakers had just beaten the Bucks and the Clippers,
right?
Who those were like the three top teams in the league at the time. The Bucks had the best record in the league. Lakers had the second best. The Clippers might have had the third or fourth. But the Lakers had just beaten those two teams in succession right before the season stopped.
And so, there are reasons that people come up with to try to diminish this championship. And I went after the break. I'll tell you why I think if you want to use an asterisk, you can, but it's not at all in the way that people mean. So I'll explain that next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Monarch Money. And if you ever wish that managing your money felt easier with Monarch Money, it can be. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than just some budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're actually building wealth. And as an example, my daughter is about to start high school, which means it's crazy. I got to start thinking about college and tuition and dorm expenses and all sorts of stuff that, if I'm being honest, is really daunting. Monarch can help me streamline my spending, figure out areas where I could be more efficient, I could save better, I could stop spending altogether maybe, and create a plan for that next step. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for 50% off your first year.
So, I mean, you agree with me. Like, everybody talks about this, and we'll get to the ESPN's early power rankings here in a second. But like, here's where I do think you can talk about an asterisk with the Lakers title here. If what you're talking about is this one is unique, it is unrepeatable, God
We
willing.
hope.
Yeah, like,
we certainly hope.
Honestly, I don't even think, even if something like this happened again, I'm not even sure they'd try this again. I'm not sure you could try something like this again, just given how much the politics around epidemics, pandemics, illness, prevention have all changed. Probably not a topic for this podcast.
I'm pretty sure it's definitely not. I'm pretty sure we've been told.
So
it's not.
Yeah. I have thoughts, but we'll get, not for here.
Go to Locked On Epidemiology if you want to get into that.
Our much less popular sister podcast. If you want to call it that, it is like part of what has been challenging for the Lakers in terms of like getting another one after that time, in addition to things like the Russell Westbrook trade and whatever that have gummed up the roster, and they've been trying to climb out of that hole ever since. You just can't replicate the circumstances. So it's hard to take the lessons of that and apply it to the next season or the season after that or the season after that. So, okay, in that sense, the Lakers won this wholly unique experience that is different. But when people talk about asterisks, they mean lesser. They don't mean different. They mean lesser. And there is nothing lesser about this title. The Lakers went in as a number one seed and lost the advantage that came with that because there was no home crowd. The Lakers, they got healthy. So did every other team in the league. The notion that the Lakers had some sort of advantage is absurd, because the main advantage that people fight for over the course of a season was taken away from them. If anything, they had a harder road than they would have had they just started a playoff after whatever 52-19 is, 19 or 20 games short of the end of the season.
It's a different championship. And the one thing I will say that is pretty consistent that I have heard from a lot of Laker fans is that it feels different. Like,
Yes.
a lot of Laker fans I've heard from are more emotionally disconnected from that championship because nobody was able to experience it in person. There wasn't a parade for it. And it was during this period of time that, quite frankly, everybody wants to forget about. That it's a difficult time for most people. It just was 2020 was a pretty lousy year. I think we can all agree. And it's just not an experience that people want to relive. And, other than the fact that the team was outwardly trying to win the championship in honor of Kobe, like it was something that they were they made as a very vocal, known goal that I think was galvanizing in the moment for Laker fans. Because, among the many awful things in 2020 was Kobe Bryant's passing. But with time and distance, I think that piece of it, like that specific piece of it, not missing Kobe or anything like that, but I mean that specific piece of winning it for Kobe, I don't think, at least from the impression I've gotten from a lot of Laker fans, resonates the same way 5 years later. And therefore, you're just left with a title that matters, but there's an emotional disconnection from it because it just felt so far away and insulated, which it was. But again, that's not the same thing as lesser. It's more bizarre than lesser.
I think most players, if you talk to players, this is actually something that Kyle Goon, who was covering the team for the Orange County Register at the time, he now works in Baltimore. What he points out is that players, if you actually ask the players, they will tell you that this is the hardest damn thing they've ever done. That being in that environment, even later on when they allowed like a loved one into the bubble and all that, you're away from your family, you're away from your kids, you're away from your routine, you're away from your house. You live in, it's a nice hotel you're living in, but you're still living in a hotel for 3 months. You can't leave it. It's a nice resort, been there, but you can't leave. Like you are a high class prisoner in a lot of ways. Keep in mind too, like some people didn't even go in. Avery Bradley elected not to go in. So like the Lakers, just talking about another thing, that like they were down a player. Rajon Rondo got hurt, down another player. Like, stuff happened to other teams, obviously, but stuff happened to the Lakers too. Mentally, that challenge was as hard as anything any of these guys have ever done, and they will tell you that. And so I think, again, you want to call it different, sure. You want to call it, you want to put it in its own category, fine, but don't call it less than what, say, Oklahoma City did this year, because it is not.
Well, the truth is, if you really wanted to, and I want to make it clear, when I bring up some of these examples, these are not me passive aggressively trying to take apart other championships, because I just don't believe in that. I think championships are really effing difficult to win. And I'll say this, and I think, Brian, you agree with me. The older I get, the more I just gain an appreciation for how hard blank is to do, and like just how hard achievement is in general. Like,
yes, because when every morning when you're like, God, it's hard to put my socks on, like winning an NBA championship.
When you just come to realize, like, the longer you spend in your career doing anything, like the longer you spend time trying to accomplish as an adult. I'm not saying that I'll automatically think everything is great, like obviously you especially in this particular job, but as somebody who's very into movies and music and whatever, I have opinions. I will be honest if I don't think something is good, but I don't look to tear things apart. If anything, I want to be impressed. But like, you could look at the Raptors in 2019 and point out they beat a Warriors team that was down Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson. The Warriors in 2015 beat a Cavs team that didn't have Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving. Like, the Lakers went through a hard run in 2002, but the Nets squad that they beat was a joke. Like, you can go through this stuff year by year by year, and if you really want to pick things apart, but it's such a waste of time and it's so pointless. And honestly, if you're doing that, I don't understand why you follow this stuff in the first place. Like, other than, I guess, maybe to gatekeep the team that you want to gatekeep or the athlete that you want to gatekeep. But otherwise, I don't see the point. Like, what are you getting out of it?
Yeah, as Dowdy points out in the chat on YouTube, there's not a championship that doesn't have luck. Every champion will tell you it takes luck. Now, luck isn't the only thing, obviously. You can't luck your way to it.
But it's always a thing.
But there's always something.
A thing.
So I 100% agree. I wonder how much the players that were there pay attention to it or really think about it, especially since I think among players, I have heard nothing that ever sort of contradicts the idea that players think it was really hard. Players think so. Like, I don't think there are a lot of people, again, they might look at LeBron's title in 2020, the Lakers title in 2020, as different than other ones. But I don't think anybody who played the game, who played in that environment, looks at it and says, yeah, whatever, that one doesn't count.
It's the only thing I guess I would say would be if some random team managed to go as like a 7 or an 8 seed that barely, because it was the first year of the play-in, like that they managed to get in and had a run that felt fluky in that particular environment, then while I still don't think I would be personally inclined to try to discredit it or pick it apart, because again, I'm not wired to do that. But I could at least understand where people are looking to do that. But again, these Lakers were really good. And right when the season stopped, they were among the short list of teams that people thought had a legit, like more than legit chance of winning the championship. Right. So in that sense,
they beat an 8, a 4, and a 3.
The setting was weird. The result was damn near predictable.
I think especially when you compare it to like the baseball playoffs, like I think it was more important for the Dodgers to win another World Series, because the argument you could make for like the 2020 season and postseason was that it was essentially a different sport. 60 games, 16 teams in the playoffs, all that. That was a completely different season.
Yeah, I mean the Spurs, when they won in '99, I believe they played fewer games than the Lakers did in the 2020 season, and they had just as much time off, leading up to the season, like more time to rest because the season started late. Same thing in 2012, because there had been a lockout leading up to everything. Like, again, you can do this for pretty much every title if you really want to. I just don't understand why you would.
Yeah. Anyway, I agree. I think it's silly. I understand why Daryl Morey tried to walk it back with our friend Anthony Irwin. But too late. You already made yourself the topic of tonight's podcast. Sorry, Daryl Morey. Meanwhile, Andy,
ESPN, better luck next time, nerd.
Egghead. Meanwhile, ESPN has its first power rankings out for the post-free agent period. Where do the Lakers land on that list? We'll tell you next. So here's what ESPN put out, and this comes from our screenshot from our friend Darius Soriano. So this is a picture of Darius's Twitter feed, which he took off the TV. So it's like a layer cake, but you can see it. It's the ESPN Power Rankings 1 through 10 post free agency period, and it says a lot about the Lakers and I think the conference. Here are your top 10: Thunder, Rockets, Nuggets, Cavs, Knicks, Timberwolves, Clippers, Magic, Warriors, and then at 10, the Lakers. So that, by my math, puts the Lakers as an early predicted 7 seed in the Western Conference, behind the Thunder, Rockets, Nuggets, Timberwolves, Clippers, and Warriors. Obviously, that means that the people are expecting the Western Conference to be a hellscape for anybody trying to win a lot of games. But what was your reaction to seeing that, Andy? That initial far too early summer ranking.
My initial reaction was, is it still July? Like, can we please move this bleep along? Like, it's July because we're debating early, like very, very early season rankings. Like, the season doesn't even start for another, 3.5 months. and we're reliving a
I don't like
title.
to think about it.
We're reliving a title from 5 years ago. We are so damn bored in July. But honestly, my reaction was that could sound just about right, but it also could be the Lakers at 3 and Denver at 7. It could be Minnesota at 2 and Houston at 6. Like, the West is so, I think, going to be just like last year, so bunched up to where the difference between a 3 seed and a 9 seed or even a 10 seed is only going to be a handful of games at most. And I say this, if nothing else, just to prepare Laker fans for this upcoming season, because you're going to see tons and tons from different outlets of these rankings that, by the way, are totally meaningless, because it's not like college football or college basketball where how you get ranked actually matters for your season. Like, these rankings don't matter at all. But you really do need to remember that being ranked 10th, for all intents and purposes, may not really be that much different than being ranked 5th or 4th.
Well, I disagree with you a little bit, because I do think the top 3 here that they've put, 1, 2, 3, that whoever, I don't know who the committee is that does these things at ESPN right now, but like, you look at the Thunder, Rockets, and Nuggets. They actually went Thunder, Nuggets, Rockets. Oh no, I'm sorry, I had it right the first time. Thunder, Rockets, Nuggets. So when you see that, to me, like, those are the 3 best teams potentially in the NBA. I understand, there's going to be a team or two in the East that runs up a very gaudy record, but they're going to be doing it against softer competition. I think Denver's improvements kind of bump them back up into an area. And obviously, Houston, at least on paper, addressed their biggest weakness in a major way with Kevin Durant, and then continued getting better. Like, they did a lot of really good stuff. I think after that, I kind of agree with you. I think it's reasonable to put Minnesota ahead of the Lakers. They just beat them in 5. I'm not sure they got better, but they did just beat the Lakers. The Clippers, on paper, I think, have a better roster than the Lakers do. But
I do not care about the Clippers roster on paper until I see them actually stay healthy for a season. I don't mean this in a Clippers going to clip kind of way. Like, they're a really well-run organization. I have a lot of respect for how they do a lot of things there, especially once they change their marketing department. We've gone through like 4 or 5 years of the Clippers being really good on paper, and then the health issues and the James Harden playoff issues keep resurfacing. So again, I don't mean this as a Clippers going to clip thing. I need to see. I think at this point, that's not me being an a-hole. I actually need to see them do something over the course of the regular season, including, by the way, take the regular season seriously.
Right. And so, like, I look at it, I'm like, is it disrespectful to the Lakers to have them in front of the Lakers early? No, I think it's pretty reasonable. I mean, you look at it last year, and the Lakers and Clippers were separated by 0 games. They each won 50 games. So it was essentially a tie. Minnesota and the Lakers were separated by 1 game. And this is sort of to the point you were making before. Like, the Lakers and the Rockets were separated by 2 games. And so I think the Houston got more better than the Lakers did. I think the Lakers are an improved team. I think Houston has improved more. But the Nuggets won 50. So like you say, the only one on this list where I look at it and go, guys, I'm really not sure. I think you've got this one wrong. I don't see how the Warriors have gotten any better. Like, the Lakers won more games than the Warriors. Obviously, Steph
quite literally done nothing this offseason.
Right. Steph got hurt last year, missed a lot of games. I understand that. But the Warriors have done nothing to improve themselves, and the Lakers are better than the team that they were when they finished the year. So in my preseason predictions, Am I going to put Minnesota ahead of the Lakers? I might. Am I going to put, especially a second year of Randall, everybody getting comfortable? Yeah, I probably will. Am I going to put the Nuggets, Rockets, and Thunder? Yes. Clippers, maybe. I'm not there with Golden State. They've done nothing.
Well, I mean, I guess the thought process for putting the Warriors up there is last season when Steph, Jimmy Butler, Draymond together, particularly Steph and Jimmy, record was very good, very small sample size. If you think you can extend that, which requires everybody to stay healthy, which is a big if in the regular season with that trio, you manifest from there. It's certainly possible, but the reality is they have quite literally done nothing this offseason. I recognize that's because they're trying to figure out the Jonathan Kuminga mess. And until they figure that out, they can't really make other moves. But the fact remains, they remain exactly the same as they were before.
Right. Mr. TD on the chat is making a case for Golden State, noting that the Warriors are better than the Lakers at the end of last year. I would note that the Lakers were better than the Lakers last year near the end of the season. And he is correct in noting that once all this stuff is sorted out, they are still seen as the front runners for guys like D'Anthony Melton and Al Horford.
Right. 40-year-old Al Horford and D'Anthony Melton coming off an ACL injury, which, I mean,
those are good players, though. I mean,
they are, but the point being, though, like there is a certain amount of reservation I'm going to have about how much those guys are going to make a difference on a team with that much collective age and injury concerns on top of the guys that you're bringing in with collective age and injury concerns. I mean, I don't think that's looking to be negative about them or getting, my backup as somebody who covers the Lakers. Like I said before, I don't care if you rank the Lakers 30th in this. It's a fake list. It doesn't matter. But I'm just saying,
I'm going to say your list isn't very good.
Right, whatever. But my point being, though, if we're trying to actually game this out smartly, there are some question marks about their big prizes for the offseason once they eventually figure out the Kuminga thing. Maybe if the Kuminga thing is a sign and trade, you're bringing in other guys, and that does fundamentally change the roster. But, Al Horford was reportedly thinking about retiring because, again, he's 40. And I love D'Anthony Melton, but he is coming off a pretty significant injury, and he gets hurt a lot.
Yeah. But I think to me, the biggest takeaway, because again, arguing over this stuff is kind of pointless, especially when you consider that there were 7 teams in the West last year separated by 4 victories. But to me, the big takeaway is just like you look at the Lakers and can legitimately say, hey, you know what, that could be a 7 seed.
Sure.
That's a team with Luka Doncic, LeBron James, a very fit, healthy-looking Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Austin Reeves, added Marcus Smart, added DeAndre Ayton. You can push Rui Hachimura to the bench. Like they have it's a pretty good team. Like they've got 2 of the top 15 players in the league, depending on where you think of LeBron. And you can look at that team and say they're 7th legitimately. And you look behind it and, Memphis is, should still be pretty good. And, I don't know what the Kings are doing, but Dallas should be pretty good. Yeah, Dallas should be pretty good. Portland thinks they're going to be better. They're certainly going to try to win some games and finish the season strong. The Spurs think they're going to be better and are going to try to win some games and have a lot of potential to make a leap. Like you're 10 deep easy in the West before you get to a team that you go, I don't know about that one.
Well, this is why whenever, you and I do, radio or TV appearances for different networks, or when we participate in the squad shows here at Locked On, whenever we get asked about, load managing LeBron or how do you think they're going to do it, my answer is always they're not. They can't afford to. Like they don't have the luxury of doing that. I mean, I don't think LeBron wants to anyway, but they don't really have the luxury of doing it. The West is too hard.
It's too hard. Anyway, so let's quit there. We'll get back maybe some of this. Let us know a reaction to both Daryl Morey, to where you think the Lakers rank this early into the off season. what you think any of this means. Leave us questions, leave us comments. Mailbags are a fabulous way to spend your time as we roll into August, where we will continue to bring you shows damn near every day. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is we're going to hang out with over 36,000 subscribers. Remember, sign up on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you tomorrow.